Sometimes, those with a strong attachment to a specific place during their lifetime choose to stick around, reliving moments or specific events that took place there. It all comes back to the history that was left behind. That history leaves an impression. This is the Haunted Happy Hour podcast, a show dedicated to uncorking chilling conversations about the paranormal. We're your hosts, Lily
and Vanessa. We dig through the history of locations to get an understanding of why certain places are considered to be haunted, what happened there, and why.
We seek to understand the reasons for encountering some sort of paranormal manifestations in certain locations while sharing our own experiences.
Took some shots, everything was great. But then when I looked the second time, I was already down to 7%. I had like 50 some.
Oh my gosh.
Join us in our haunted lounge as we share stories about the history, hauntings, and lore throughout our hometowns across the Midwest and beyond.
For those looking to find out what spooky tales lie trapped within some of America's cities and towns, join us for the next Haunted Happy Hour. We'll talk spirits, drink spirits, and sometimes even encounter spirits. I could definitely taste the vanilla.
Honestly, it's not as strong as what it smells like. I give this one 2 thumbs up.
Okay, now that we're enjoying our drink though, let's go ahead and talk about the stories.
You can catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, or anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. And if you have Echo devices, an easy way to listen is just say, Alexa, play Haunted Happy Hour podcast.
So, we invite you to sit back, grab a cocktail, and let us introduce you to some history, mayhem, hauntings, and spirits right here on the Haunted Happy Hour podcast. Cheers!
Hi, Ghosty fam. Welcome to the Activity Continues podcast. I'm Megan, and my co-hosts Amy and AP and I are soul sisters who usually recap episodes of the TV show The Dead Files. But since they're on break, we are sharing some new and fun things with you. Some weeks we interview interesting people, which are the last 2 weeks, and sometimes we do listener episodes, which is what we're going to do today, some listener stories.
That's right. I do want to mention the last couple of ones that we did. We had the interview with a shaman, interview with an intuitive, a psychic, medium, tarot card reader. And then, which is the next episode is the interview with a witch, which is our patron, Leisha. And
just a delight.
She was great.
I love it.
Oh my God. We did totally, you had already gotten off, but we did like a Minnesota goodbye.
We did.
We said goodbye like 18 times. And then we're like, okay, it's been an hour now. We really have to go.
And I just it was probably an hour of just goodbyes.
Yeah,
like, it wasn't an hour of like the episode.
Right.
It was an hour of, okay, we're going to go. But then,
okay, so remind me to tell you about that. Well, just tell me now. So, and I cut out a significant portion of that episode. And it's still an hour and 20 minutes. Oh my God. So, yeah, we had a good time.
Guys, the Minnesota goodbye is real. It is a real thing. And
really
struggle.
It really is.
Well, it's a total Midwest thing.
Yeah, it's not
everywhere
just
in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And I think probably because we just don't want to go outside when it's cold out in the winter.
Yeah.
It usually starts with a knee slap and a whelp.
I am so guilty of this all the time.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Well, I suppose.
It's getting lame, and then you got to say goodbye there. And then you get up and move to grab your stuff, whatever your stuff is, and the goodbye continues.
Yes.
You go by the door and it continues again. And if it's nice out, it will continue into the driveway by your car.
Yeah. If they walk you out to your car or something, and then it's another half an hour at least. Yeah. That's how my parents were at church. We'd go to church and then they'd want to go to the fellowship hall and talk to everybody and drink coffee. And I would be like, oh my God, I just wanted to get home and like watch cartoons. I didn't want to sit there. And it would go on and on and on and on. Oh my God, it was
struggles. All we're saying is the struggles. It's a real thing.
Say hi to your folks and watch out for deer is also another part of that.
Oh, buddy.
And then it'd say hi to your folks. How are they, by the way? And then you go, yeah.
And if you need more of how to see that, I highly suggest watching anything with Charlie Behrens, who's a Wisconsin comedian.
Yeah.
He is hilarious.
He is.
And it's so accurate.
Yeah. I see him on TikTok all the time.
Yeah. Sorry, I totally derailed us.
That's okay.
We're always derailed.
Yeah. We start out that way. We'll never be on the rails.
We're never. I was just going to say we're never even on the rails.
No, we're not even on the train car.
No, we're not even in a train.
No.
Riding our horse.
Maybe that Hot Mess Express.
Yeah, Amy's on the train trying to get us back on a train.
You keep throwing the rope, but nobody grabs for it.
We grab for it, and then we're like, oh my God, but here's a butterfly.
Yeah.
Like a cat just batting it back and forth.
Yep. Yeah.
That's a perfect analogy right there.
That's pretty right. Yeah, we are in person today, so there will not be a video version of this. We are sitting in my dining room and recording on our own laptops, and so we're hugging our microphones because we don't want each other's voices to come in.
Basically eating our microphones.
Yeah.
There's been consent provided by the microphones.
Yeah.
We're close.
They're totally okay.
We're close.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not even this close with my husband, so
I just bumped my nose on it.
Even better.
Yeah. So
if this turns into a crime scene, our DNA is going to be everywhere.
Yep. All right. So, AP, do you want to give us what we're doing today?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us in our chaos today. Today, we have a couple of stories. One is from a listener named Eddie, and one is a friend of mine with some additional information that I have because I've been to this place where the story is from. Content warning, of course. We never know what's going to come up in these episodes and what topics might come up, so please check the show notes as usual for anything that may or may not be upsetting to you. As always, user discretion is advised. And what we also want to share is we have a new patron, Stacy. So I'll let Amy share a little bit more on that.
Yeah, she found us. Oh, how did she find us? Oh, I got to look it up. Okay, she says, she says she becomes super chatty when she's around like-minded people, and especially when talking about anything involving the paranormal. Well, you're in the right place.
So glad to have you, Stacy.
She said, I found you ladies on what was once Twitter a few months ago and binged every episode throughout my work day. I work from home. TDF has been one of my favorite shows for many years, and so I thought the pod would be perfect for me. And you know what? It is.
Fantastic.
Love you, Stacy.
Your show is the first podcast I've ever joined a Patreon for.
Oh my God, we're so honored. Thank you.
She says, I'm a solitary Wiccan and an empath with some Reiki knowledge as well.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Are we interviewing Stacy?
Yeah, she says, so I will have stories for you at some point for listener stories. So yeah. And then she says, I'll wrap this up because I could just keep rambling, but I'll spare you that. Next time, don't. Just please keep rambling. We like it.
I mean, if your email is not 9 paragraphs, then what's the point?
Why did you even bother?
Why did you even write it? Just kidding.
Yeah. She says she's excited to be part of the community and thank you for making a show so fun to listen to and be a part of.
I don't know if you've noticed this, but we tend to ramble a bit.
Just a tad.
Go back about 5 minutes if you're confused.
Yes. We talk about a train and
it started with derailment.
Yeah.
So at least it's connected.
Well, and speaking of another fun
derailment,
but I do have a PSA for everyone about Yesterday, I was at the Minnesota State Fair, which is a fantastic
A
time.
great get together.
It's a great time. I'll be going again. However, make sure you know where your phone is when you're going to the bathroom because, like most women, we put it in our back pockets. And I started questioning where my phone was, and then I heard a clunk, clunk. Thank God it fell into the bottom floor of the porta potty and not into the open toilet of the porta potty. So,
Yes, that
PSA,
is a
know where your phone is.
Solid PSA.
Yeah,
It's one thing to fall into the toilet of a bar, which
that's gross enough.
right.
Yeah.
But at least you can work up the courage to get it. But a porta potty,
Yeah, that's not
not to
happening.
me. It's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like 80 feet down. There's no way. You'd have to like
Well,
Mission Impossible your way down there.
Not worth it.
No.
Sorry, iPhone. You're not worth it.
yeah. And let's not all lie and say that no one ever looks into the hole. We all have looked in there.
Are there people who say they don't?
Oh,
Because they're
there's so
fucking
many.
liars.
There's
They're
so many
liars.
people who say that I've never looked in there.
Okay, you're full of shit.
Yeah.
More so
Like
than
the
that
porta potty.
Because
But
Oh man.
you're all weak, folks. Tip your weight stuff. I'm sorry. Anybody who says they don't are fucking liars.
yeah, we gotta know what's in there. You see some weird shit in there. I mean,
Literally.
along with the shit.
Lots of shit jokes today. We didn't even plan this.
No.
I'll put that in the content warning. Lots of shit talk.
That's true.
I will say that I have gotten to wearing leggings with the pockets on the side,
Yep.
and my phone is in there,
That's
and it doesn't go anywhere. You can, when you take them off, you can just sort of roll it over, so there's no way that phone is coming out of there.
Yeah. Thank
That's
God that's
smart
what happened with my jean pocket or my shorts pocket is that it just kind of folded over. Yeah.
Yeah,
Held down and
But man, thank God I had some wet wipes because I was at a restaurant the other day that gave out wet wipes for because it was wings.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I'm just going to take these for going to the state fair. You always need to be prepared for the fair.
yeah,
And let me tell you,
someone put that on a t-shirt.
the people watching,
oh yeah,
Gold.
it is great.
there are bingo cards that you can fill out for state fair bingo. And
How many bullets you catch?
the matching outfits.
Yep, matching outfits.
I don't understand why people wear sandals. Like, my feet are tired at the end of the day, but there's people wearing like flippy floppy sandals. Oh, yeah. Like, how are your
No support. No support.
no support, and how are they not just completely filthy by the end of the day?
Oh, I'm sure they are.
I have no desire to go to the state fair. There's too many people.
It's two people each.
It's too people-y. If I were to go, though, I think I would just find a spot and just people watch all day because that is, to me, more entertaining than the actual stuff at the fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like, I'll just people watch for 9 hours.
yeah. It is very, very
Doing
good.
that again this coming Friday.
Nice.
Cool. Well, the weather on the opening day was nasty, but Friday was,
Yes.
and Saturday was really nice.
And it was the most crowded I've seen the fair.
Oh, I bet.
You said you went with your sibling minus one. Who didn't go?
I went with my brother. My sister,
Sister didn't.
No.
She was busy.
yeah, she was up in her homestead. But I think she's joining my mom and I on Friday.
Yeah.
So my mom and I usually take a day off and we go early, so we get there early because you can't start day drinking and drink all day if you don't start in the morning.
Right.
And there are 65 new beverages at the state fair.
That's what I like to call planning ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you bring a water bottle and refill the water bottle. Right. And you
I'm
just,
surprised they let you do that. I didn't think they would let you do that. I think they would want to charge you the $9 for a bottle of water.
but the amount of people who still go ahead and just, they pay for the bottle of water. It's just like the people who don't buy their tickets ahead of time and they're standing in line. When there's literally a sign standing next to them and says, scan here to buy online, you'll save $3. And they go,
At the fair, you can do that?
yeah.
And they still wait in line.
Yep.
No comment.
No
But I think
People be dumb.
You can find that. You can find those people all over the place. Oh, Megan, you'll enjoy this one. Yesterday we were sitting there, and of course it's over by Sweet Martha's, which
overrated cookies.
Overrated.
thank you.
Yeah.
This little kid is strapped into a stroller, like actually one of those small little packable strollers. Someone dropped a cookie on the ground, and this kid is straining, trying to get out of his stroller, leaning forward, like doubled in half, straining to reach for this cookie that's on the ground. And then the parents realize, and they're like, no, you are not grabbing a cookie off the ground.
Yeah.
Starts screaming. Bloody murder.
Yes.
Just want my cookie. I want that cookie. it's probably somewhere in the 18-month to 2-year-old range. And I'm just like,
Best age. She says with sarcasm.
We'll keep with dogs. Thank you.
Yeah. I know I was talking, John is like, well, don't you want to bring Jordan? And I'm like, no. I said the Amy's are childless by choice. Okay, anything else before we dive right in after 45 minutes?
I think we're good. We have to leave, Okay, so did we talk about what we're doing after this?
No, we did not.
Do you want to tell everybody what we're doing?
So I guess this is like a AP focused episode right now.
The best one.
Of course. We are actually going to go see Jenny, the psychic intuitive, again this afternoon. Each of us is going to have our own session. And in the future, we will share with you what we feel like sharing out of that session. This will be my first one after losing Briggs. So I have waterproof mascara on.
Yeah, good.
And
they're 30 minutes, right?
Yep, it'll be a half hour. So she goes half hour type things. And lots of always unique and interesting. So the last time I saw her was in April with a friend of mine. Some good stuff out of that, but I'm very curious what will come out of today.
Me too.
But yeah, and then I think it's always a good time to sit and chat with each other afterwards to decompress a little and not record. Not record right away because you just don't know what you want to share with everyone.
Yeah.
And we need time to process what we've heard.
Yeah.
And it does, like, she does get stuff. Like the last time, remember we were recording and I started out going, I don't believe any of it.
And then 5 minutes later, you convince yourself the opposite way.
So yeah, you need that time to process.
Yeah. And she allows us to record.
Yes, so that's another thing. I know I mentioned this before too, but I have listened to the recording of our group session a couple of times recently and heard new things that I didn't pick up on before. And I had misheard her saying something. I can't remember what it was. And I had that in my head this whole time, and then when I listened to it again, I'm like, "That's not at all what she said." So, I'm. It's a good thing to go back and listen to again.
I'm excited. I'm interested to see.
She called a bunch of stuff about your job and stuff like that, and and she said, "Is not your not your what did she say? Not your wheelhouse." She didn't say that, but she said, "It's not." It's not serving you or whatever it was, however she worded it. I don't remember.
One of the things that she does so well too is she upfront tells you that you still have free will and free choice, and that just because this is an option that's out there doesn't mean it's going to all fall in place the way that you think. Like I go back to when she told me that I was going to get another dog, and I was like, no. Well, now I have Wesley, and my cousin reminded me. It was a year and a half or 2 years previously when I had that reading from her. And it was just, there's going to be one special dog that there'll be one special puppy. Well, he was a solo puppy and he was special. And this morning, he was the most snuggly he's been in a long time. He hasn't sat up in the chair with me the way that he did and snuggle in my lap. And so he's a little shit. I love him.
Speaking of little shits,
I was going to say,
I don't know if you guys can hear Vivian. I know you two can. She really doesn't like to be locked out. And I'm looking at a dog across the street that looks like a bear.
Oh, it's a Bernie.
Yeah, it's a Bernese mountain dog. Big black. He just went behind a tree. Megan.
I don't see him.
Megan's like, you guys are fat. There's no dog out there.
You're derailed.
We're always derailed.
All right, should we get started? Do you want to go, or do you want me to go, or how do you want to do this?
I can go. Okay. So I have a little background story with this is from my friend Kevin, and I think he changed names in some names in the story itself. But Kevin's family has a hunting lodge that they purchased out in South Dakota, on the far western side of South Dakota, not far from where the Hugh Glass memorial or monument is for, and that's a historical marker or whatever for Hugh Glass, who Leonardo DiCaprio represented in The Revenant. It's a rural area, very cool. There's a buffalo farmer not far away. It's a very, we've never really been out there in the wintertime because the roads don't get plowed. Like, it's a very, very open space place. The house itself was built in town originally and moved out to the country.
Oh, wow.
My dad said it was for the woman of the man who had the house or the family, and she died in the house. But she wanted to live out in the country and that sort of stuff. So this house it's pretty old. And as a hunting lodge, it has, I think if they used it as that at some point in time, because it does have like 5 or 6 rooms on the bottom level that feel like a motel.
Oh,
when you walk
sure.
in. So there's there's bedrooms and then there's a couple bathrooms downstairs.
Yeah.
And that's important to know for Kevin's story. But there are a few different things. Like my dad had one of the rooms that we call it the Annie Oakley room because they decorated it in Annie Oakley.
Cute.
So all of the rooms are like that. So you come up the stairs and you come into the kitchen, and off to the right-hand side, there's one bedroom, which is one I stayed in. And then you go through the kitchen into like the little like dining room area. There's a bathroom on the one side, and then there's 2 bedrooms, and then there's a little living room area and another bedroom. And my dad was staying in the one that was Annie Oakley. He said the door was one of those that it was an old door and it kind of sticks, so you really have to shove it to close it or to open it. And they were out there doing some work one summer, and there was a storm going on, but he said the wind wasn't coming through the door, like through the windows the way that they were open in his room that he was staying in. And he remembers like the light flickered off. It was an overhead light.
Mm-hmm.
And when the light flickered back on, the door was wide open.
Nope. Goodbye.
And he's like, he asked if his friend was over there. He's like, hey, Kev, are you awake? And then he could hear his friend snoring away on the other side in the other room.
How long was the light off?
Just fairly quickly.
Okay, so not enough time for Kevin to get up, open the door, go back to bed, and pretend to be sleeping.
Yep.
Great.
And and being in an old house too, there wasn't. You hear the creak when people step on the floorboards and stuff. So Kevin's story. He said about 15 years ago, I was at my parents' hunting lodge in South Dakota with some family friends during a pheasant hunting season. The lodge was created from a 1930s built home that was moved from town onto a country property and put on a new foundation. And the original home was owned by a jeweler in town. I was staying in the upstairs bedroom next to the dining room, so the one that my dad had been staying in previously.
With the door?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
In the middle of the night, one night, I had to go to the bathroom and was crossing the dining room towards the bathroom, and there was a person walking towards me from the kitchen. We had nearly met in the dining room, and I said, do you need to use the bathroom first? That person turned and walked the other way back into the kitchen, which, by the way, is the room I was staying in, was off the kitchen, and he saw this person walk towards that bedroom.
I have goosebumps right now.
The person
I don't like it.
That person had white hair and fair-skinned appearance, and I had assumed it was our friend Darren that was staying in the basement. The next morning, I asked Darren if he came upstairs to use the bathroom. He said, no, I didn't come upstairs. And this is a person who's up in the middle of the night several times to go to the bathroom. And as Kevin said, side note, there are 2 bathrooms downstairs.
Yeah, so there would be no reason for him to even come upstairs.
And Kevin said, I definitely felt the presence of someone else. And,
like it.
Doesn't know who it was, but he said, we have noticed other interesting things over the years, such as going to town and coming back to find lights on, doors open, or water running when we clearly made the intention to have everything turned off and shut before leaving.
Okay, not only is that freaky, but it's expensive. Do not run my water bill.
No.
Well, and especially to go into town that he's talking about is about a 20-minute drive.
Oh, wow.
So, I can't think of any of my own specific experiences there, but I remember we were coming down, we were hunting in North Dakota, staying in this place in South Dakota. So we were heading south on a road, and it was a dirt road. And I remember this older car coming out they came from the west. And it turned off in front of us. It was like a 1970s style vehicle. And we saw it turn on, but then we never saw the car again. We just saw the cloud of dust coming off the road that hung in the air, which is odd that it was hanging in the air because it was a pretty windy day where our dirt trail or dust trail was blowing off the road automatically. Like another car got in between us and theirs blew off the road as well. And then all of a sudden it just stopped. And I remember going past, and there was a house there with a long driveway. And I never saw a car down there, never saw a dirt road or anything. And again, it turned off to the west side.
Yeah.
And that's the way that the wind had been blowing. But all of a sudden the dust just settled and there was nothing there. And of course, could have just been a car and just something was just off about it. But
it's weird that the dust wouldn't go with the wind.
that's why it sticks in my brain so much. And it was just one of those weird things that I don't know where to
explain it. Yeah. With the water running, I wonder if it's because, I think we've talked about this where like ghosts might not have the same time frame that we do. So when we say like make a noise and like 3 hours later they make a noise, it could be instant to them. Do you think they had the water running right away when they left, or did they turn it on before they got home? Like, that's an interesting...
And I don't think it was ever like a full blast or anything, but it was like the kitchen sink would be trickling through and, and again, being that it was an older home and, who knows. But another cool thing in that area, and I have not been able to find the story on her, but I think it's kind of a local story, is back in like the late 1800s or early 1900s, there was a cholera outbreak, I believe, with the indigenous people of the area, and the white male doctors refused to help.
What a shock.
So
I am so surprised by that.
There was a woman in town who made sure to help them. She had 2 children and her husband was gone. I don't remember what for, but he was gone for a while. And she took care of the sick of the indigenous nearby and contracted cholera herself. She ended up dying from it. And the doctors refused to help her because she had helped the indigenous.
Right.
And so when her husband, so the indigenous people took care of her children until her husband came home. And when her husband got back and heard about what happened, he went and found the town doctor and beat the shit out of him.
Good for him.
Beat the shit out of the town doctor.
Good for him.
Who refused to take care of his wife or help his wife because she helped somebody else.
Okay.
So therefore, I believe there's a historical marker out there, but I couldn't find the story online. So I may be missing some of the information, but just wanted to, again, in the area. So something kind of cool and interesting.
That's sick. I hate people.
Yep. So those are all the stories that I have about South Dakota, Western South Dakota, Northwestern South Dakota.
Cool. Okay. Well, I'll do read Eddie's story. So Eddie, I believe Eddie said he found us through, well, I'm not actually sure how he found us, but he said the first episode he listened to was Kirsten's, the intuitive.
What a great one to start.
And then he was like, but I'm a huge fan of the Dead Files. So, I mean, perfect, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's his story. Okay. My name is Eddie from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Oh my gosh, that's so far.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not as far as other listeners, but...
Right. I have always loved the television show The Dead Files since the series first premiered. However, I knew of psychic Amy Allen's work from the Discovery Channel television show A Haunting, which was another great show.
Oh my God, I can't watch that show because it scares me so bad.
You should watch that Amy Allen one, though. I watched it. I took some screenshots. She's so young.
I should, but I cannot. I used to watch that show all the time, and I couldn't sleep. So Megan had to stop watching.
It's a good one.
It's so good.
I like that show.
The reenactments are so scary.
Yeah. And a lot of times they have the actual people doing the reenactments.
Which I like.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Not actors.
They're scary.
Okay. So he says, in the mid-1990s,
Vivian,
I have the talking stick right now.
You're out here. That's all you get.
Is she not the queen of the household?
In the mid-90s, my sister lived in a haunted house in the northern suburbs of Pittsburgh. The way this house was designed, it had 2 apartments. The first floor was one apartment, and the second floor was another apartment. Whoever rented the second floor apartment also had the third floor as well, which is the apartment my sister rented with her boyfriend at the time. My sister would always experience lights turning on and off by themselves, and she would also smell baby powder. Now, she did not use baby powder, nor did she have any baby powder in the house. My mother would often go over and help my sister clean the house and do other things around the house while she was at work. My mother would also experience strange activity, feeling like she was being watched, experiencing the lights turning on and off by themselves, as well as smelling the baby powder.
Why do ghosts turn the lights on and off?
Just to let you know they're there. Yeah.
maybe because they didn't have light switches, so they thought, hey, this is fun. What is this?
I've never thought of that. That's probably part of it too. They're like, this is cool.
Well, I think maybe I've just seen this in movies, but it's something about the energy.
Yeah.
Can interact with the electricity, and it can make it short and stuff like that.
Okay, well,
So I think that might have
ask
something
and
to
I
do.
shall receive answers.
There's a couple. I don't know if any of them are
probably a lot of
correct,
different-
but
Right.
yeah.
Will we ever truly know the truth?
Okay.
I'll ask Jess.
So yeah, ask Jenny. Why do ghosts turn lights off? Okay, Eddie says, I would go over there on weekends to stay with my sister and also had the feelings of being watched, especially while I was in the bathroom.
Gross. Let's have some privacy.
Come on, ghosts.
please.
That's rude.
Decent. Be decent.
The way
The pervy.
Yeah. The way the apartment was laid out, the second floor had a living room, a dining room, and a kitchen. Oh, for the love. Now another dog just burst in.
She wanted to make her presence known.
Go play with each other.
We're almost done.
And here comes Diggs.
Third dog. Okay. The blind one is the only one.
Probably because he can't find the door.
He's the quiet one, too. Poor Fozzie. Okay. I would go over there on the weekends to stay with my sister, and I also had the... Oh, I already did this in the bathroom.
Speaking of derailment, everybody.
Sorry, Eddie. Okay. The way the apartment was laid out, the second floor had a living room, dining room, and kitchen. The third floor had 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. It also had a set of pull-down stairs that led to the crawl space.
Gross.
No.
I hate this.
That she never used.
Good for her.
Yeah. My house that I grew up in had that. That's how you got to the attic. And it was a big attic. You could walk around up there. It wasn't just a crawl space. It was creepy, though. You didn't want to be up there.
No. If pull down anything,
Yeah.
goodbye.
Yeah. It creaked.
Because then you go up and your head's up there just vulnerable.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it's real. Okay, Grace. One evening I went over to her house to spend the weekend, and before I went to sleep, she told me, if you see an older woman, she will not hurt you. It's just a ghost. Oh, okay.
I'm gonna need more.
I mean, does she have a name? Should we be talking? Like, should we be including her in conversation?
Yeah, I don't know. She told me a few weeks prior that she came home from work one evening and saw that the third floor hall light was turned on, so she figured that I had come home. So she went upstairs to see if I was in the bedroom, which I was not because I was not there yet. As she was getting ready to go back downstairs to the second floor, she saw an old woman start to walk up the stairs. The figure got about midway up and then just disappeared.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
That's great.
I never did see this figure. I don't know what I would have done had I seen it. Another interesting fact to this story, in 1983, when I was born, I was almost 3 months premature. And as a result of... That's really premature.
Really
Yikes.
premature, Eddie.
As a result of me being born so early, I have cerebral palsy and am blind in one eye. I believe I may have heightened awareness of paranormal activity.
That's definitely been something.
Yeah.
And then he ends this so sweetly. In the very words that I live by and think positively, pray for the best, believe in yourself, be optimistic, and be strong. Let no one but yourself control your own destiny. Let no one tell you you can't do something. Try and do to the best of your ability. I believe that each one of us is put on this beautiful planet called Earth for a specific purpose in life. Everyone is perfect. No one's perfect. But the best thing you can do is be positive, be optimistic, and be strong, and be thankful for the greatest gift, the gift of life.
Yeah.
Eddie.
What great affirmations.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eddie.
We're all who we're supposed to be.
Yep.
That's really nice.
I agree.
Thank you, Eddie.
Yeah, thanks, Eddie. That was
Nice
nice.
story. I don't like it, but it was good.
A little scary.
I love how his sister's like, oh, and just don't.
Yeah, just...
If you see the old, it's fine. She's fine.
It's just a ghost. It's fine.
Yeah, it's just a ghost. I'd be like, I'm going to need more, please.
She just came to terms with it. She was sharing her property.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Fine. We're all fine.
Everything's fine. Yeah.
Fine.
We're fine. All right, we need to.
Yeah, we should probably scoot, right?
We should probably
Skedaddle. All right. So thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you.
We will be back next week with maybe our whatever we're going to talk about. We can find a time to record.
Yeah.
These crazy schedule.
I know. I have a crazy schedule, and I never realized how crazy my schedule was until we were trying to coordinate everything else.
But we all do, because Amy will be like, oh, I can do this date. I'm like, oh, I can do that day. And then Amy L's like, well, what about this day? And then Amy P's like, yeah, I can do that. And I'm like, no, I can do that. And
It is hard with 3
it's
schedules.
like wrangling herd and cat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. I'm used to herding cats with their tails on fire with all the different things going on with work, projects like that. So.
Yep. Great. Yeah, we should go. All right.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Later.
Thank you for listening to the Activity Continues podcast. We really appreciate you giving us your ears for a bit. Please reach out if you have a suggestion for which episode of the Dead Files we should cover next, or if you have a spooky story you'd like us to share on the show. We can be reached at theactivitycontinues@gmail.com or through our website or any of our socials. Links are all in the description of the show. Please feel free to drop us a note and say hi. And join us next time when the activity continues. The Activity Continues is produced by me, Amy, at Collected Sounds Media and is part of the independent Collected Sounds podcast network. We are also proud members of the Boo Pod network of super cool podcasts.
Nailed it.
Sometimes, those with a strong attachment to a specific place during their lifetime choose to stick around, reliving moments or specific events that took place there. It all comes back to the history that was left behind. That history leaves an impression. This is the Haunted Happy Hour podcast, a show dedicated to uncorking chilling conversations about the paranormal. We're your hosts, Lily
and Vanessa. We dig through the history of locations to get an understanding of why certain places are considered to be haunted, what happened there, and why.
We seek to understand the reasons for encountering some sort of paranormal manifestations in certain locations while sharing our own experiences.
Took some shots, everything was great. But then when I looked the second time, I was already down to 7%. I had like 50 some.
Oh my gosh.
Join us in our haunted lounge as we share stories about the history, hauntings, and lore throughout our hometowns across the Midwest and beyond.
For those looking to find out what spooky tales lie trapped within some of America's cities and towns, join us for the next Haunted Happy Hour. We'll talk spirits, drink spirits, and sometimes even encounter spirits. I could definitely taste the vanilla.
Honestly, it's not as strong as what it smells like. I give this one 2 thumbs up.
Okay, now that we're enjoying our drink though, let's go ahead and talk about the stories.
You can catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, or anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. And if you have Echo devices, an easy way to listen is just say, Alexa, play Haunted Happy Hour podcast.
So, we invite you to sit back, grab a cocktail, and let us introduce you to some history, mayhem, hauntings, and spirits right here on the Haunted Happy Hour podcast. Cheers!